Hey, we are live. I'm gonna wait, see if anybody straggles in. Check, make sure my audio is okay, all that sort of stuff. Blah 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 blah. Do my YouTube thingy here. Oh, I hear sirens. There we go. Wait and see if anybody straggles in. Hello. I almost forgot that I had scheduled for tonight. I've been busy with all my writing and other things that I need to get done and preparing for the holidays and all that kind of crap. Nobody else here, so. Okay. Connie! Where have you been, you bad little girl? You told us the other day you were going to get the kids off to school and you'd be back, and you never came back. And we cried. We cried tears. Many, many, many tears. Our other devil, well, her boyfriend has some people over, plus she has a migraine and she's getting ready for a pet expo this weekend, so, you know, she's got a lot going on. Her kid's supposed to be visiting soon. Well, obviously, Kami. God. Well, yeah, I mean, she's got a lot going on, plus, they're trying to finish the house, and then they got to do the guest house. Because if you saw her video the other day, she was talking about selling it, so. Because she got it at such a freaking bargain price. I just hate that she went through all the trouble of finding that bewitched stove, and now she moves. She's just going to leave it there. Well, we've got 4 people watching, so we've got Kami and 3 lurkers, I guess. So I guess I might as well get this going, huh? Okay. Anyway, this is a view. Well, let me first state that from a religious standpoint, um, I'm both Red Road for my native people and Euro-pagan, primarily Celtic, since we have the English Irish blood. I still have not found the Irish. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, and I kind of have been moving towards Luciferianism, which is not quite Satanism. And let me already state that Satanism isn't what a lot of people think it is, especially, the neckbeards. I'm a Satanist. I go out and I torture animals. No, you don't torture animals. Satanism is recognizing yourself as a deity and refusing to be controlled. Basically, there's a lot to it, but it's nothing like people think it is. When Muslim people were being threatened by others, and you know Muslim women were afraid to go grocery shopping because they were afraid of getting attacked, who helped them and offered to escort them to the stores? The Church of Satan, to make sure that they got there safely. Hey, Queen of Boyd canceled. The Church of Satan made sure that they could get to the store and back safely, or run their errands safely. You didn't see the so-called Christians doing that. Most people that claim to be Christian really aren't. They're people who want to control other people, and they stand behind their religion to do so. But I have written something out, so let me get this back up here. And it says this is strictly a discussion from the other side. We've heard more than enough about the Bible, Christianity, etc., as a default for 2,000 years, at least in this country. At the heart, the Bible is truly a work of fiction, a collection of stories from Stone Age shepherds with zero understanding of the world, and even modern Christianity promotes this. It promulgates faith, keeping these old ideas, never questioning. Indeed, education and intelligence seems to be an anathema to most versions of this religion. It is honestly about control. You've heard religion is the opiate of the masses. Well, I mean, if it makes you feel good, secure, etc., that's fine, but don't let it force you into a place of ignorance. If it comforts you, groovy. But when it's when they start pushing it that everyone should believe the way they do as they demand to do, and live by a standard they put forth, even though in most places they don't follow it themselves. Do as I do, do as I say, not as I do. I went too far. When I was a kid, I remember Father Tom drinking, smoking cigars, going to hot tub parties. Anything beyond that, I wasn't privy to because I was a kid. Father Tom also missed an opportunity with me for guidance, etc. I'd already been involved with witchcraft, and at that age, it's not something you want known, especially raised in a Protestant home, sent to a Pentecostal church where I was horrified, traumatized, and constantly made to feel like I was doing something wrong. TV was the work of the devil. My aunt and uncle had a TV that was only to be used for watching the news. Rock and roll, that's the work of the devil. When you dance to that rock and roll, that's the devil getting into you. So in such an atmosphere, being into pagan practices was not only obviously discouraged, but something to be kept very, very quiet. I developed an interest in Catholicism. Father Tom could easily have guided me, though I am glad he didn't. I recognize now that my interest likely derived from the ceremony of Catholicism. In paganism, ceremony isn't much different. What one calls a spell is basically a recipe and a prayer slapped together. The difference is that we speak to many deities, not just one, and certainly not the one, quote, end quote. Thousands of religions in the world, thousands of deities in the world. The question gets asked, does God exist? I say yes and no. The God we get shoved down our throat, not real sure, but I do believe that we created God. I also believe we may have created gods and goddesses. I believe in energies because everything is energy, and energies can be directed. Some can be directed to that lamp with just a flip of a switch. Some can be personally directed to a goal or objective. Paganism basically has many gods and goddesses in any form, whether Nordic, Celtic, Greco-Roman, or other traditions. Basically, we don't expect one god to handle everything. Paganism is a very definition of delegation. These deities work in the financial sector, these work in the health sector, and these work in the emotional sector. The Christian God is overwhelmed by everyone bringing everything to them. Unless you watch Ashley Ottenson and you see that, he has Stacy and Angel Steve and all that sort of thing. But what about the other side? We're only told about the devil from the Christian side. In the Bible, I believe the only word used for the devil is Satan, which derives from a Hebrew word for adversary or accuser. The language spoken at that time, although was Aramaic, though the Bible was written, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew and the New Testament was written in Greek. Eventual translations always lost something, lost in translation, changed something, but probably none as much as the King James Version, where King James blatantly, proudly changed it to suit himself as a tool of control. This way, whenever he needed to control someone, he could point to his version of the Bible and prove others wrong or evil. See, King James hated Catholics. He was Protestant. And so he wanted to get rid of the Catholics and have Protestantism rule England. And in order to do so, he changed the Bible to his liking. But in general, we are only hearing one side of the story. We hear God's side. That's the more popular side for whatever reason. Also known as the side of those who want to assert control over others. We hear the devil referred to as Lucifer. Other names came only later as used to paint the devil as being pure evil. Lucifer means bearer of the light, a god of the sun, brother of Diana, the goddess of the moon. Christianity absorbed imagery from pagan religions partially to pull them in and partially to demonize them. Such as with our holidays. The Bible says that when Jesus was born in the manger, hey Carrie, when Jesus was born in the manger, they talked about the shepherds and the lambs being born and grazing their sheep on the new grass. Well, that doesn't happen in winter. That happens in spring. So they usurped a lot of other religions' holiday that revolved around the winter solstice and made it, the reason for the season, and the sun is born. Well, in paganism, we say the sun is reborn, as in the sun, because the winter solstice, or Yule, is the shortest day of the year. From there on, the days start to get a little longer. Not quickly enough for me, but, there you go. But it's a holiday celebrated by dozens, if not hundreds, of religions. But somehow, at least in this part of the world, Christians have managed to usurp it enough that they're like the main focus. And then, of course, if you dare say happy holidays, blessed Yule, etc., well then, oh my goodness, Christianity is being attacked. Oh, we're so oppressed. We're so oppressed. It's like, yeah, remember the Crusades and the Spanish Inquisition and the witch burnings. Don't tell me that you're the ones being oppressed. Christianity, well, Satan is said to be a fallen angel. Basically had a fight with God, didn't like the way things were being done, and was cast out along with a bunch of his supporters. Or, of course, it could have been due to his own narcissism, his beauty that he was proud of. Okay, yeah. Only room for one narcissist in heaven, I guess. So, yeah, he was pissed off. But then he's painted in the Bible as evil. In reality, even in the Bible, the devil killed 10 people. God's body count is much higher. Disappointed with the humans he created, he killed them all off in a flood, except for a few on a big boat that we're to believe carried a mated pair of every creature on earth. God had people killing their own children. He killed the firstborn in Egypt. Kill, kill, kill. Any time someone disagrees with him, how he wants things done, despite claiming that we were given free will. Free will as long as you do as he says. But the God of Christianity is narcissistic, angry, and controlling. Love me or else. Do as I say or else. But hey, your choice. The ultimate consequences of your own actions until it comes to him. 2.4 million dead, minimum. Created the devil, so he is not responsible for the alleged evil in the world. In the Garden of Eden were Adam and Eve, Eve came after his first mate, not his wife, as that concept was not a thing at the time. His first mate was allegedly Lilith, who didn't obey men. So, of course, she had to be done away with. And, of course, the Bible doesn't tell us about her because, well, no, that wouldn't do because, oh, yeah, there were uppity women in the Bible. They were told not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge or they would surely die, inferring the tree and the fruit was poisonous. Therefore, knowledge is poison. God did not want them to have knowledge, but he put it there to tempt them to see what his little creations would do. The devil, in the form of a snake, said to be the most intelligent of creatures, told them that they would not surely die and would have knowledge of all things. Who was right and who lied? But you call him evil because he defied God, only because he defied God and told the truth. Truth is evil. Excuse me, I aspirated earlier, so I'm still choking. Let me check things here. Okay. What about hell? Hell is supposed to be a place. Hell is never called that in the Bible, nor is it portrayed as being underground, a lake of fire, or anything else. Supposedly, where souls are sent to be tortured by the devil and his minions, or demons, or whatever, for eternity. It's the place where bad people are sent, so the devil can torture them. So the devil tortures bad people, and that makes him evil? The depiction of the devil as a red growly thing with horns. Well, let's start with the horns. A translation of light at one time was misinterpreted as horns, and there's actually a sculpture of Moses by Michelangelo that has horns because he was supposed to have a halo of light around his head, aka his aura, but instead the bad interpretation caused the sculptor to put horns on his head. Then there's the hooves, and that is something that has been usurped, adopted, whatever you want to call it, stolen from the pagan religions, such as the horned gods like Cernunnos, etc. They are represented as stags, which have hooves. And they would throw in it was like a patchwork quilt or a platypus of a being that the religions threw together to create this big evil whatever. And then we have the whole met the devil at the crossroads from the American South. The devil is always portrayed as being a black man. We're calling the black man devilish, deceptive, etc. Of course he's handsome, because if the devil appeared in his real form, who would talk to him, let alone sign any contracts with him? This is all based on Faust, which is why such stories are called Faustian. The idea that you can go to a location, meet the devil, and sign a contract to get your deepest desires granted in exchange for your soul. Remember, that means your soul gets to go to hell and be tortured for eternity, though hell is supposedly for bad people. Forgot, not supposed to question things, especially contradictions. The devil and demons are beings of energy that just don't obey God, basically. If you look into the pantheon of demons, truly, they are beings that have many facets. They have things they can do for mankind, but they want to get paid for their work. Apparently, this is evil, expecting to get paid for your work. Granted, it works differently in Luciferianism, which is a religion that deals with demons. They recognize the good these touchy beings can do. The Key of Solomon, the biblical Solomon the King, even though the book was actually written by S.L. McGregor Mathers, who was a member of the OTO, a compatriot of Aleister Crowley, all that crap. Bunch of high and mighty idiots who thought that they were better than everyone, so they created this ceremonial magic where you had to create all your own everything. All your equipment had to be handmade, and all this really huge pomp and circumstance because they needed to make it difficult for anyone else because, they were elitists and, you can't be in our club kind of thing. But anyway, the Key of Solomon tells you in details their names, what they do, and what they might do if you screw up. In short, with Christianity, we're only getting one side of the story from someone pissed at the other side. Sound familiar? I've got some notes here. How did Lucifer become a fallen angel? The devil was once a beautiful angel named Lucifer, which, the Bible never says his name as that, defied God and fell from grace. This assumption that he is a fallen angel is often based on the book of Isaiah in the Bible, which says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?" I'm guessing this is from the King James Version again. Supposedly Satan's real name was Samael, and is a fallen archangel who, after leading an unsuccessful rebellion against heaven, was banished by God to serve as Lord of Hell. After his fall, he changed his name to Lucifer. Again, not true. Because he contrived to make his throne higher than the clouds over the earth and resemble my power on high, Sataniel, Samael, was hurled down with his angels, and since then has been flying in the air continually above the abyss. Well, that right there tells you it's not underground. Um, I've got a lot of notes here. And this says that Satan answers to various names. Well, as I've already said, most of those names are fake. Beelzebub, god of insects. It's like, so you threw Beelzebub out. Hey, Dina. Hey, Blakes. So basically, Samael got a bunch of other angels, archangels, etc. together, and they didn't like the way God was doing things, and God was like, yeah, well, fuck you. Boom, out of here. Holy crap. Did I send you those seeds, Dina, for the... Yeah, I think I did. Of course, this time of year isn't exactly a good time for growing plants. But since when am I high? I wish. Um, anyway, if anybody wants, I've got on a disc. What do I have on the disc? I have a bunch of different books, including the Key of Solomon. If anybody wants a copy, just email me, shebaoftheeast@gmail.com. My really stupid email that I just came up with on the fly one day because I needed a Gmail account. And I can send it to you, and it does have in it um, a list of the demons and their different attributes, what they can do for you, the time of the year that you would ask them to do things for you, what you would need for them to do things for you, etc., etc., etc. I'm talking about weed seeds. Yes, Kami. Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah, we're talking about feverfew seeds. It's a plant that's really good for migraines. And while you can get tea and stuff like that, it's really best used fresh. Um, like 4 leaves, wash them off, and then swallow them because they smell and taste nasty. But if you start taking them at the very beginning of the migraine, it might ease up the migraine. It doesn't work for everyone. Um, but if they help, well, then if you keep regularly taking them at the very sign of a migraine, well, then you start getting fewer and fewer migraines. Because I used to get migraines with the auras around lights and all that sort of thing. I would lose my depth perception. Yeah, Carrie, you got a wrench. Yeah, the tea doesn't generally work as well as the fresh leaf. But I used it fresh. But just fair warning, once you start growing it, you'll probably never get rid of it. I even find it out in the woods and stuff like that. But anyway, you know, the devil and demons and all that are so vilified because they're so frightened by their religion not to look into these things. Don't ask questions. Believe what I tell you to believe. That nobody ever really thinks about the other side, that basically you're talking about, a falling out of friends. So you've got one friend that tells you, oh, well, this person was this shitty person, blah 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 blah, you know, but you never go to the other person, hear their side of it. So God has demonized Satan, the devil, whatever, and nobody ever said, well, Satan, what's your version of it? It's like, right, Dina. Just so long as you're not pushing it on other people and insisting, because I'm a regular at a site called Satan and Sons, and every time they have a video or something, of course the Christians have to come marching along and get in there and start, and then when you respond to them, oh, I'm being attacked, you're the one that came here trying to shove your religion down our throats. We're not at your sites shoving our beliefs down your throat. And I don't understand how difficult that is to understand. You make a point of following people around just so you can attack them. Matter of fact, that would apply to a lot of things. Well, I believe that white people are aliens because the white mutation didn't come along until about 6,000 years ago. Before that, everyone was dark hair, dark skin, dark eyes. But I have no idea where I was going with this. I got my Temu order today, and I got one of those stick blenders. It was supposed to be a mini stick blender. It told me it was like 7 inches tall. Maybe the base of it is 7 inches tall, but when you put the blender end onto it, it's over a foot tall. And I'm like, all right, this is not what that very well could be. But what I'm saying about Satanism and Luciferianism is, again, we're only getting one half of the story. We're hearing it from this guy who insists that you love him, worship him, etc., or he's going to send you to his ex-friend and you can be tortured. If you don't love me, if you don't do everything I tell you to do, you're going to be tortured. That's an abusive relationship to me. And they so often, want to deny. Do you know how many alien shows I had to watch about the Mocha S, pyramids, cave drawing, and so on? What's Mocha S? But Michons? What are Michons? Not sure. Anyway, it's like two of your friends get into a fight, but you're only hearing one side of the story, and it turns out that, oh no, they weren't that bad, but the other person painted them that bad, and everybody believes that person. I can think of another equivalency here, but we're not going to discuss that. But and some of the ridiculousness I see from these people. I mean, oh, South Americans. Okay, Micahs. South American won't let me type it. I'm trying to. Well, now you got me thinking, so I have no idea what to say about anything now because I'm busy thinking. Well, if you ever watched Reservation Dogs, they have the stereotypical, portrait of Jesus in their homes because colonialism forced a lot of us to be Christian. So, on Reservation Dogs, some of them have a portrait of Jesus in their homes, and of course, it's the white, light-haired Jesus. So every time they look at it, they're like, "Sup, white Jesus? Sup, white Jesus?" Even when the kids went off to California, they run into a homeless guy from a homeless camp that dresses like Jesus and kind of acts like he's some kind of Jesus and all this other stuff. So they call him White Jesus. But at least he kept him safe for the night, and until the cops raided the homeless camp, then he took off. But when even like in a divorce, one partner is going to demonize the other, but it's just that everybody listened to one partner here and believed everything they said. And it's like, how dare you believe what anybody else says, blah, blah, blah. So now you're going to be tortured. And I still don't understand how The devil is supposed to be so evil when what his job is supposed to be is to torture the bad people. But it's just that, what does Christianity consider bad people? Whose dog is barking out there? Ooh, yeah. Well, Miss Parker was in, that's the cult she grew up in, and it was some offshoot that was horrendous. She's told her story before. She had her first child at 14, and the father of her child was her father. And of course, he based it on some supposed religious teaching. Um, we knew people here who were, I mean, we've got a lot of the J Dubs here. Um, where I lived at before, they used to come door to door, like they do. They don't do that here, but I had a wolf hybrid at the time, and she loved people, so she wanted to try and get out the door at them. You know, yes, drinking the Kool Aid. She would want to get out the door at them because, oh, pet me, pet me, pet me. I want to lick you. I want to get hair all over you. Blah blah blah. But I was working at a place where we sold all you can eat ribs on Wednesdays or Thursdays, something like that. So I would bring home some of the bones for her to chew on. And I was so busy at my job that I didn't always get them cleaned up very quickly. So there's these rib bones all over the porch. And I think it might have been the Mormons showed up one day, and they're looking. Here's this dog trying to get past me at the front door to get to them, and they're looking at the bones scattered everywhere. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's the J Dubs that were here last week. I just haven't had time to clean up." I did not hear from either one of them for like 7 years until I moved. And then here they don't bother you, so. Kami, you're gonna get some vicious rumors started. The micas. I'm still trying to figure out the micas. I have micas. I use them for coloring, candles and soaps and bath bombs, and now I got to figure out how I'm going to get Kami's package sent to her. Got my card tabs coming up. Okay, everybody. Dina says she died. And you can believe Dina. She wouldn't lie about dying. Since these people always want to impugn your truthfulness. Where did Carrie go? I think she's still at the game. We have 6 people here, but only 2 chatting. We have lurkers. Lurkers, lurkers, lurkers. So anyway, that's basically about it. About, with Christianity, we only hear one side, and that other side is vicious and violent. I mean, I had a friend in a group that I was involved with. Somebody kept leaving notes on her. So fuck you. Somebody kept leaving notes on her car saying, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And then one day she came home and one of her windows was busted and both of her headlights were busted and all of her taillights were busted. So, I don't have a lot of love for most Christians. My auntie in Idaho pretty much lives it, but at the same time, she still would watch the 700 Club, believe that Muslims were evil, would say things about gay people. And here she's got a lot of gay people in her family. I mean, a lot. And She once said to me, "Well, they're only about 2% of the population." I said, "Native American people are only about 2% of the population. Does it make it okay to abuse them? Does it make it okay to exclude them?" And I think she kind of had a little bit of a thought there. But one niece of hers will not come to the family picnics anymore because of something she must have said. And I've tried talking to them and they won't tell me what she said. But she can have some. I mean, she's 95, so she's got some backward ways of thinking of some things. I'm sure my doctor would love to say I'm super healthy just so he could get me out of his face. Anyway, that's about all I have, unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about or any questions or anything else of the sort. Yeah, I know I'm live. Email. Thank you. My own email has to tell me. Yeah, but what's he gonna charge you? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Those deliveries are expensive. God, when I'm in California, well, generally I don't have food delivered, but when I was down there for 3 months, it was, in the quarantine and stuff like that. And so, plus I was busy with dad's house and I didn't want to, keep running to the store and stuff like that. I didn't have a lot of cookware, because I didn't think to take any. And I went and packed everything of dad's up. So I didn't have much of anything to work with there. So every once in a while I would, DoorDash it. And I mean, I think it was Uber Eats one time sent me a coupon for $30, but I had to spend at least $30. And somehow, with all the fees and everything else, it still ended up costing me over $30. Bring me foods. Tell her the only reason you had kids was to be waited on hand and foot. You needed free labor. Yeah, I mean, even after, because I think my order came to like $35, and it was really more sushi than I could eat in one night. So, but it still, with all the fees and everything, was still over $30. And I'm like, well, that didn't save me anything, did it? Plus, I had no idea where Fuji Grill was actually located, or else I probably would have just called them and ordered and went and picked it up myself. I'd still pay $35, but I wouldn't be, having to tip somebody and everything else. And at that time, somebody I knew was a DoorDasher, and they said that DoorDash keeps a large chunk of their tips. What's this? Wuss Puss launched from Coraline, and I had to order it like I was busy buying some boy band tickets for my kid. What? I think you're. Did you get your nails cut? I know you just got them done, but did you get them cut? Because when you start texting with your cut nails, then we can't understand you. But where was I? I was talking about DoorDash. Oh, this friend of mine said that DoorDash keeps a chunk of their tips, and I didn't realize um, if you put in zero tip, well then it's harder to get somebody to pick up your order. So, but I would still put like a $2 or $3 tip, and then I would put cash under the mat. And when they got there, I would yell at them from inside, please check under the mat, or please check in the mailbox, and I would leave them like $10 or so. I saw a photo of somebody's nails today. They weren't very long, but they had um, clipped them in a way that they looked like buzz saws or something, so that they had really sharp buzz saw like claws, and they would purposely scratch people because they didn't like them. It gave me ideas. I saw them. They're very, very pointy. Very damaging. I'd be afraid I'd jab my eye out with them or something, you know? And my nails have always been thin, so they don't really handle such things well. Because for a while I used the Lee press-on nails, but we would glue them on with super glue, and then I'd end up with all this glue all over my fingernails. Dina's starting a side gig. Uh, just $5 a poke. She'll take out your enemies with her nails. Anyway, as I've said before, I'm working on different scripts. I'm supposed to be working on an article right now too, because we have someone in the Native community who is gatekeeping who is and who isn't Native, and they're going after Buffy St. Marie of all people now. I mean, she's an icon. Um, oh, cool, good. Um, I the connections, the familial connections they're making. Well, the person who started this, apparently, she started this back in January, saying she was going after Buffy. I mean, this woman is already being sued by at least one person, and very well may be getting sued by more. And she waits until icons are dead and then starts questioning their indigeneity. Like Sasheen, she went after Sasheen Littlefeather after she died. And so now, and mainstream media picked it up and believes her. And I mean, it's proven that she's Yaqui. That makes her Native American. But this person thinks that if you're not enrolled or if your tribe isn't in the United States, well, then you're not Native American. Well, Buffy St. Marie is Canadian. It's like I'm waiting for her to say that about Robbie Robertson or something. Of course, Robbie's family has the money. They'll probably sue her ass into oblivion. Somebody ought to. But she goes after people like this, and she has someone working with us that I've talked about before. He's a creepy dude on Twitter that has possibly hundreds of accounts, and he will fight you on one account and defend you with another account. And it all comes back to this guy in Port Huron, Michigan, who is on the sex offender registry list until 2033. He goes after kids. He's done things to his own kids. He's done things to other kids. We've caught him trying to talk to kids on Twitter. And this is a person who has made up these very realistic and believable lists claiming that, oh, he's related to like Avril Lavigne, he's ex-cousin X times removed or something like that. I have no idea. I don't know if they use like those spoofed numbers and get different accounts using those spoofed numbers with multiple email addresses or what, but I mean, he literally, and the thing is, we believed him and we thought he was an ally and he fought alongside us and claimed to be, I think, Mohawk or something. And he always seemed to have the information first. He sent me a link to a Craigslist posting where this girl was talking about being in Dothan, Alabama, and this really creepy dude, this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. Once I started getting other people involved in it, well, then she stopped emailing me back because I had contacted her. And it wasn't until after my sister and I made the connection, and it was during the pandemic that we made the connection because the one creep, he had a picture, he changed his profile picture to him wearing a mask. And then this one that was supposedly our ally, he posted a picture of himself. Exactly. He posted the good version of him, posted a picture of himself in the mask, and then I realized, looking at them side by side, I freaked out and I called my sister. I'm like, oh my god, I sent you something on DMs on Twitter. You gotta go look, you gotta go. She's screaming at my brother, oh my god. That's when we figured it all out. And then we started figuring out that all this information is made up. Because how was he the first one with this information all the time? You know, supposedly he has other kids that live with him, which is scary as fuck. I think they're his girlfriend or fiance's kids. I mean, the whole rabbit hole is just, it makes you dizzy. Because he has portrayed himself as so many things. Including wanting me to talk to his friend, James Patrick. I'm like, okay. A big hockey fan or something like that. But see, this other guy was a big Led Zeppelin fan, and I'm like, James Patrick as in James Patrick Page, Jimmy Page? Oh, well, yeah, it just happens to be that, blah, blah, blah. That's when we figured out that profile was fake. But he's been men, he's been women. He outed himself on his original account, saying, oh, well, this, that, and the other thing, and, you know, they turned out to actually be a woman, and blah, blah, blah. It just, the insane things that we have seen here on YouTube don't come close to the insanity of this guy. I mean, the webs he wove, the stories, everything. At one time, he was Patrick Saucer, who was somebody that was with the Mormon church and supposedly wrote this book about something and da 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 da. And so I'm contacting the Mormon church in Utah asking about them, and they're telling me that he was excommunicated a long time ago. Exactly. I mean, it's let me open it from here. But, and the thing is, he's still on there, and he's still going, and he's still lurking, and he's still attacking. My brother uses his actual name on Twitter, so all of a sudden he's got this family connection to my brother. He also calls himself Prince Orono of the Abenaki. He made some specious native connection through what he called his mother. Well, this is through my mother. Well, it turned out it was his foster mother. That doesn't make you native. But he's helping this other person with all these hateful diatribes against very prominent native people. He was trying to say my brother and my sister are not who they say they are. They're not Mohawk, they're not Cherokee. They're Mandan from North Dakota, and they've been chased out of town because of these crimes that they committed. And it just insane. I mean, these idiots we deal with on YouTube wish they could be this insane. And the problem is, too much mainstream media is believing these stories coming out, even though we can point them to the documentation otherwise. They ignore that. And supposedly this person who's supposed to be a journalist, yeah, it definitely is. This person who claims to be a journalist and has authored books, she's going to write a book about this. I'm like, hope you're going to be self-publishing that, because there's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be more. You put that into print out there like that, there are going to be lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And that's why no publishing house will ever publish it. She thinks that her publisher, which is a tiny publisher, is going to publish this book. It's like, no, they're going to do what Indian Country Today did to you. They're going to check sources. They're going to check facts. They're going, and you're not going. They will never ever publish that because you're making shit up out your ass. She wants to take credit for all the, and the really really funny thing about this is that she's wanting to say that if you're not a member of an enrolled member of a federally acknowledged tribe, you're not native. Well, that helps to just eliminate us. It helps with the genocide. You're doing the colonial work, because you've got like the Duwamish tribe of Seattle and the Chinook tribe down south and stuff like that. They are not federally acknowledged. So, according to her, that makes them not native. And the thing is, she always told me she was Dakota. No, not for slander and libel. Any publisher is going to fact check. Stuff gets by them, or they find something that supposedly, proves what's being said, and then it turns out, it was a fake. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's self-publishing. Yeah, self-publishing. You can pretty much publish whatever you want, but that doesn't mean that people won't come after you. People aren't going to sue you if you libel and slander them. But she has always told me that she was Dakota, and turns out she's not enrolled. So now she's talking about how she's Diné, Navajo. Nobody down there knows who the hell she is. And I think we found out she's not enrolled Navajo either. So why she's attacking other people this way? Hello? And there's a lot of reasons why people aren't or cannot be enrolled. I think it's the Turtle Mountain Chippewa. You have to be at least an eighth or something like that. And I knew someone who was eighth, and their family's been enrolled. Her kids cannot be enrolled because they're less than an eighth. And every tribe sets its own so-called blood quantum requirements. But the problem is, blood quantum was something started by white people to breed us out. If you've ever watched Rabbit Proof Fence, they have an example of it up on this board. See if we can marry off an Aboriginal girl to a white man, well then their children are only half. We marry that kid off to a white person. Now their kids are only a quarter, and we can breed it out of them. Which goes back to my whole, white people are aliens thing. They were left here to colonize the planet, and that's what they're trying to do. One way or another. But she's just, all she's doing is helping to eradicate us further. Reasons people aren't enrolled are like the 60s scoop, where kids were taken from their parents forcibly and adopted out to white people. Their records were destroyed. So they may not be enrolled. They may not know what tribe they're part of. But that doesn't mean they're not native. And I've been very forthcoming about my story. My grandfather ran all over Oklahoma trying to avoid the Dawes Roll because he didn't want to be identified as an Indian. To the point that he left and went to New Mexico and came back after the Dawes Roll was closed. So since I don't have a direct descendancy on record, I can't get enrolled. So according to this person, I'm not actually native. I can prove it otherwise, but that doesn't matter. Records get destroyed, fires happen, and then, of course, there's just bad record taking, especially back east. If you were Native American, they would put you down as colored because black people were not allowed to own property. So once they've taken the Native people's land, if they put them on a census as colored, that keeps them from ever owning land. Later on, it was if they were light skinned enough, they would put them down as white. And that steals their identity as well. And that one, it doesn't even matter if you have records or not. It's really hard to fight against the censuses and whatever else has gone on. There are just so many reasons why somebody may not be enrolled. When I was um, a volunteer up here with the Quinault tribe, there was a lot of people that were there were problems because, oh god, okay, this is getting too long, but anyway, back in the 50s we had um, relocation and termination. The government decided that we had to do something about that Indian problem. So what they would do was they would say, out here on the reservation, you don't have a lot of job opportunities, etc. The big cities, that's where it's at. We have a job lined up for you. We have housing lined up for you. We will pay for your transportation to go and take on a better life in the big city. Often you were sent on a bus, so you couldn't take much with you. You got there, and the so-called housing situation was some tiny apartment full of rats and roaches and mold and who knows what else in a bad part of town. And then you'd get there, and either that job would look at you and go, "What do you mean you were supposed to start working here? Don't know anything about it." Or the job was something that paid, pennies a day, nothing anybody could live on. And then you're stuck. They've gotten you off the reservation, so now you're stuck in the city. And some people did manage to make their way back, but most of them were just left there to their own devices. And hence you have the birth of the urban Indian. In some places they banded together, all different tribes banded together and created these urban Indian centers. But they also had what they called termination. And the government would look at your tribe and your population and decide there's not that many of you left, so we're just going to claim that your tribe is extinct now. And they would take them off the federal records. The Duwamish, for which their most well-known chief, an entire city is named, that's Seattle. They are state recognized, but they are not federally recognized, and they've been trying to get their federal acknowledgement back. The Chinooks, whom I volunteered with many years ago when I lived down that way, they've been fighting against the termination and trying to get their acknowledgement back. They've had it given back to them twice, and both times it was rescinded again. But when they terminated, the Cowlitz got their acknowledgement back several years ago. But now, when they did the termination originally, they went to the Quinault tribe up here and said, hey, we've got these stragglers from these basically no longer really existent tribes. If you will take them under your umbrella, we will give you more land in order to give them land and house them and all that sort of thing. So we'll give you acres of allotments, blah, blah, blah. So at one time, under the Quinault Nation umbrella was like 5 different tribes. And every time one of them gets close to regaining their federal acknowledgement, the Quinault tribe tries to halt it because they don't want anybody competing with their casino, which isn't a very grand place anyway. And I remember from my days with the Chinook that they don't want a casino. They had a bingo hall. It went bust. They don't want a casino. They think that there'll be competition in commercial fishing. Well, already commercial fishermen are already under your umbrella, so it doesn't matter. There's no more people going into that because it's expensive. a fishing boat's going to cost you a couple $100,000. Just the license alone is going to cost you at least 10,000. I mean, it's nobody's jumping to do this. And then they were worried, well, what about our allotments? Does this become, Chinook land? Does this become Cowlitz land? Well, did it when the Cowlitz left? No, it did not. So why are you fighting the Chinooks on this? It's mind-boggling, and this is, if they can get enough of the people off the reservation, well, then they can say, oh, well, nobody's here, we can take this land back. And this is why people stay on the reservations. It's what little we have left of our land. Or it's what we've been given by the federal government for our land. It's all we have left, and we're trying to hold on to it, but the government is always trying to find some way that they can take it. It used to be that the treaties, they would come up with a treaty, they would have an interpreter who would read the treaty to them, except that he would read one version of it when the real version said something else, and they didn't care. As long as a male, it had to be a male to sign, didn't have to be a chief, it could be a 10, 12-year-old boy. We don't care. Sign here, X right here. Oh, well, they signed it, blah, blah, blah. And there goes another chunk of your land, and you get moved again. Oh, they found oil, they found uranium, they found gold. Oh, well, we're going to move you again. And one situation I dealt with recently was somebody talking about, oh, well, did they tell you that the Indians owned slaves? I'm like, depends on how you mean. Yes, tribes warred with each other, so, this narrative that, we're the noble savage or we're the bloodthirsty marauders is bullshit. Not all the tribes are the same. Some might have done less warring with others, etc. But frequently during war, women, children, and men would be taken. Generally only men would get killed, but there were some tribes that would kill women and children too. But usually in the rules of war were you only killed other warriors. If you had to kill women, children, and elders, you were a wuss, you were no warrior, blah, blah, blah. But there were some tribes that just didn't care. But sometimes men, women, and children would be taken as captives. And what white people are trying to say with slavery was, no, you have to work for the tribe, prove your worth to the tribe, and then you would be adopted into the tribe. They also did this because some of the women would eventually, if they, integrated into the tribe, well then, that kept the population from becoming inbred because you're bringing women in from elsewhere. And of course, the children would just get raised in the tribe. And sometimes people escaped and went back to their people, and many times they didn't. Yeah. They would even take white children. And there were stories that, white children that were taken and adopted into tribes, when their people came to get them back, the kids didn't want to go. Because being part of the tribe, you were learning, life skills and stuff like that, but you didn't have a lot of chores to do. With the settlers and stuff, the kids worked all the time, and they were like, no, this life's way too easy. I ain't going nowhere. Nope, nope, nope. But when they talk about like black slavery, you have what they call the 5 civilized tribes. That's Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole. We were promised that if we assimilated ourselves, if we lived like white people, if we wore the woven cotton clothing, if we lived in wooden structure houses, if we went to church, if we became farmers, and we owned slaves, they would not bother us. They would leave us alone. They would never touch us again. Well, obviously, that was another lie, because then here comes the Trail of Tears, and we're all marched off to Oklahoma. Well, the slaves went with us. And the slaves were treated differently among Native people than they were, among white people. Matter of fact, often slaves escaped to Indian territory because the Native people would hide them. So the slaves went with them to Oklahoma, and they integrated to the tribe. They intermarried, they had kids, and although now they call the descendants of the slaves of the tribes freedmen, they still have our blood because they've intermarried. The kids have intermarried. They down on. So I have a real problem with tribes like the Cherokee and stuff like that trying to disenroll the freedmen as if they aren't our family. What the hell was that noise? Probably the neighbor's cat. Somebody said something the other day about seeing my cat out on my porch. I'm like, I don't have a cat. It's usually my neighbor's cat. There's a couple cats that will hang out on the porch, and there's some high places that they can hide from, neighborhood cat or dogs and stuff. So they just hang out over here. Whatever. It's cool. But yeah, people tend to look at this, Indians own slaves, with an eye that equates it to their idea of slavery. And it's nothing even close. I'm sure there were some Native people, though, that were cruel to their slaves. I wouldn't doubt it. We see enough of that cruelty today. Just dealt with somebody, what was it, yesterday or today? I think it was yesterday, that was on the side of this so-called journalist, and somebody found some of his other posts, and this you? And he was degrading black indigenous people. And that's more common back east than it is here, because slavery didn't happen here, for one thing, but there was a lot of, you guys. Yep. I've never had that, so I got a kid across the street, so when I go Christmas shopping or birthday shopping for him, I have to go, okay, not messy, not noisy, let's not drive his parents insane. Okay, Dina. I'm probably about to finish up here, because unless somebody's asking me questions, I don't really have much more to say. Anyway, we've got stragglers that are lurking. Hope they're having fun. Whatever. Fuck them. Well, I never made any human beings, so. Well, it's good to see you too, Kami. We miss you in our group chat, and you haven't been around much. So, what the heck is that noise? That sounded like something exploding or something. Are the evil assholes doing something? I don't know. Those assholes next door. Holy fuck. I see they have more cats over there. While I was in California, apparently they lost 3 pets. So they buried them in the backyard and then paved over the backyard so nobody would dig them up. What the fuck? But we suspect that they poisoned one of the neighbor's cats. I know. The moon is coming up behind their house, too. Full moon is on Saturday. That's tomorrow. Shit. Oh, God. I better get some shit together. Um, but they also, I mean, everybody's cats around here roam free. If they manage to outrun the coyotes, good on them, etc. But one of the cats kept going over there, so they trapped the cat and took it to the pound and claimed it was their cat and they were turning it in. Hey, Carrie, was wondering where you was at. I'm winding down right about now. Keep hearing weird noises outside, and I don't know if it's the psychos next door or what. But yeah, these people are just nasty. And the thing is, they usually move like every 5 to 7 years. Well, they've hit that limit. Time to move on. And another neighbor said, "Oh yeah, they're going to be selling the house, blah blah blah." Well, I've never seen it for sale anywhere in the past year. And supposedly she can't get up the stairs anymore, and he can't get her up the stairs. So they're going to have to move into a one-floor house. It's like, well, then hurry up and get it the fuck done and get the fuck out of here. They put in this ultra bright front porch light that illuminates my entire yard when they turn it on. And the neighbor on the other side of them built like a 10-foot cedar fence between them, probably to block that bright fucking light. And they're just strange people. I mean, I'm a night person myself, but they go to bed at like 7 or 8 o'clock, and then they're up at like 2 or so. And it's just bizarrely weird. It's like, you're in your 60s, 70s. What the fuck, man? Not that I'm not getting close to that, because Monday I became 56. Yippee. Oh, now the upstairs light went out. Because one of their kids or grandkids has been staying with them for some time. And they will stand out there in the back and smoke. I know they smoke in the house because I can see their cigarettes, lighting up or whatever. I can't see it clearly, but that's fine by me. But they'll stand out there and just stare over at my place while smoking. And it'll take them 20 minutes to smoke a single cigarette. And they do all kinds of weird shit. They've got like one of those million candle power flashlight things, and they'll just start lighting up my yard for no reason. When the deer are out there, they'll make loud noises to scare them off. They don't want the deer in their yard. Well, they're in my yard, so leave them the fuck alone. I like my deers. And I got that picture of that one fawn peeing in my yard, and my brother was like, I have never actually noticed deer peeing before. I figured they'd be like horses and just stand there and pee. But no, it's squatting to pee. So I sent him another picture from another day, and I'm like, well, apparently my yard is just, the rest station for the entire deer gang. But yeah, we've had some good people and bad, and these assholes. Oh. Anyway, I think I'm going to wind it up. I've yammered on for long enough. Matter of fact, a few years ago, before the neighbors moved back into their house across the street, they had rented it out to some young couple. Rather strange young couple. I would hear them having knockdown, drag out, screaming fights. And one day I noticed her walking up the street, and she goes around the corner, goes into the house. This blood-curdling screaming starts. I thought somebody had been murdered in there, and I actually called police because of it, because she was literally screaming as if she walked into a crime scene. And then one day, there was a black SUV with black windows outside my house. I'm like, what the fuck? So I went up and I'm like, hey, can I help you? And he's like, oh, no, I'm just, sitting here for a minute. Then he says, hey, what can you tell me about this couple that lives over here in this house? I'm like, His name is William. His mom owns a nursery up in the hills, and that's all I know. And he starts telling me about all this stuff. He turns out he's a private investigator staking this guy out because apparently he's wanted. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Made sure my door was always locked at that time. Fuck that. So then after they finally got them out of there, well then the owners of the house, they moved back in and had to do a lot of repair work. Anyway, I think I'm about done here. So the few of you that did show up, thank you for coming, and I will be talking to you. Dina, I'm just leaving just now. I ain't got nothing else to say. I'm gonna get back to work on my writing stuff. Gotta write my scripts, and I gotta start on this article against these stupid idiots that do this stupid stuff. Anyway, thanks for showing up, everybody, and I don't know when I'll be live again. Not much going on here other than being busy with stuff, so talk to you later. Bye.